shit, don't waste my time, because I could be getting back to me, my life. That's another thing too. I gave up my life to pour everything into her career.
Rapunzel. Yes? Don't ever ask to leave this tower again. Yes, Mother. I love you very, very much, dear. I love you more. I love you most. Don't forget it. You'll regret it. Mother knows best.
You will subscribe to the Lululand. Hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Uhari and I am the queen of the Lululand. Because aren't we all just a little bit delusional? Today I'm going to be talking about the world's most delusional pimp. I am going to be talking about Skai Jackson's mother and how she sold her child to Disney. Let's get into it. Skai Jackson is a child actress and model. She has been employed since the year 2006, and she has done everything from catalogs to TV shows to movies as well. Skai Jackson is most famous to me for her role in the Disney TV show Jessie. I personally was too old for Jessie, but I would babysit my nieces and they loved the show, so I would watch it with them. And it was really nice and I enjoyed it, and she was really cute and really talented. At the time, my view on child acting was yet to get to the point where it is now. And where it is now is I truly believe that child acting is child slavery. There is this cognitive dissonance in society. Cognitive dissonance is holding two contrary ideas at the same time. And it creates this sort of discomfort within us because we want a sense of consistency in life. And you can't get that when you're torn between two places. The problem with society is when we see companies that are exposed for using child labor, they are fined. This is illegal. When children are making garments in sweatshops, we understand. When children are picking coffee beans, we understand the cruelty in this. Back before or during the first industrial revolution in England, children would be employed. There were no labor laws yet back in the day. One of the things that children would do is that they would sew. And the problem with this is that the teeny tiny hands would be concentrated and their eyes would start to go skew. And this was not a result of a birth defect. This was a result of child labor. You had kids who were employed as chimney sweeps and they would get sweeper's lung. And you know what the whites did? The whites of England came together and they're like, this should not be a thing. This should not be a thing. We should stigmatize it and we should outlaw it.
The 1900 census reported that nearly 2 million children were working, making up 6% of America's labor force. Children as young as 5 contributed wages to the family income. And many child laborers faced unhealthy or dangerous working conditions that often left them sick, injured, or deformed.
Children were working in the fields, and I'm talking about black children, white children, immigrant children, were working in cotton fields, in blueberry patches, in canning factories, in coal mines. They were sitting in coal shafts, controlling elevators for 12 hours a day at the age of 10 or 11.
Progressive reformers became alarmed at the growing number of child workers. They formed organizations in the early 1900s devoted to the healthy development of children. One of those organizations, the National Child Labor Committee, hired Louis Wicks Hine to photograph children at work and to expose their harsh conditions. Heinz's images brought national attention to the difficult life of millions of children. Over the next 20 years, the NCLC and other organizations investigated child labor abuses and continued to push for state legislation that would take children out of the workforce and put them in schools. Finally, by 1929, every state had restrictions preventing children under 14 from working. But national legislation against child labor would take another decade because business and industry continued to oppose it.
In fact, one of the major reasons that national legislation about child labor didn't make it past the Supreme Court until 1938, I mean, it's unbelievable to us that there was no federal legislation against child labor until almost 1940, was because essentially the Southern cotton interests and Midwestern coal, iron, steel interests combined to fight this legislation to stop child labor.
But when it comes to Hollywood, children who work aren't child slaves. No. They're child stars. Oh, they have the best lives. They get to be on TV. They get to be famous. They get to act. They get to be seen by everybody. They get to be friends with the most famous people. They get to date famous people. They have all this money. And I know for myself as a millennial, I went through my own Disney people. And I so badly wanted to be like Selena Gomez or Miley Cyrus. Well, not to be like them, but to have a career, to act. I did not understand that whilst I was having a childhood, whilst my childhood was being nourished and entertained by them, they didn't have freedom. They didn't have security. They didn't have a time to play and become themselves. They were given scripts where parenting and character building and love and education and identity and freedom and choice, all the things that are necessary for the healthy development of a human being.
Erikson's theory of psychosocial development identifies 8 stages which a healthy individual should pass through from birth to death. At each stage, we encounter different needs, ask new questions, and meet people who influence our behavior and learning. Stage 1. Basic trust versus mistrust. As infants, we ask ourselves if we can trust the world, and we wonder if it's safe. We learn that if we can trust someone now, we can also trust others in the future. If we experience fear, we develop doubt and mistrust. The key to our development is our mother. Stage 2. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. In our early childhood, we experience ourselves and discover our body. We ask, is it okay to be me? If we are allowed to discover ourselves, then we develop self-confidence. If we are not, we can develop shame and self-doubt. Both parents now play a major role. Stage 3. Initiative versus guilt. In preschool, we take initiative, try out new things, and learn basic principles like how round things roll. We ask, is it okay for me to do what I do? If we are encouraged, we can follow our interests. If we are held back or told that what we do is silly, we can develop guilt. We are now learning from the entire family. Stage 4. Industry versus inferiority. Now we discover our own interests and realize that we are different from others. We want to show that we can do things right. We ask if we can make it in this world. If we receive recognition from our teachers or peers, we become industrious, which is another word for hardworking. If we get too much negative feedback, we start to feel inferior and lose motivation. Our neighbors and schools now influence us the most. Stage 5. Identity versus role confusion. During adolescence, we learn that we have different social roles. We are friends, students, children, and citizens. Many experience an identity crisis. If our parents now allow us to go out and explore, we can find identity. If they push us to conform to their views, we can face role confusion and feel lost. Key to our learning are our peers and role models. Stage 6. Intimacy versus isolation. As young adults, we slowly understand who we are, and we start to let go of the relationships we had built earlier in order to fit in. We ask ourselves if we can love. If we can make a long-term commitment, we are confident and happy. If we cannot form intimate relationships, we might end up feeling isolated and lonely. Our friends and partners are now central to our development.
Today I want to talk to you about attachment theory. So what is attachment? Well, it's the connection between people that's made for the purposes of taking care of or being taken care of. Attachment occurs between a parent and a child from the moment of birth, possibly from the moment of conception. And effectively, the child is intuitively asking the question, will my needs be met? The child arrives at a conclusion anywhere from yes, probably, maybe, unlikely, to no. If the conclusion is to the yes, probably end, then the child is likely to be securely attached. If it's towards the maybe, unlikely, or no end, the child may be insecurely attached. In the insecure situation, the child has very little power to change the parenting style, but they will tend to adapt their personhood in order to survive. This becomes their attachment style. One style is to be avoidant. That's to not have or not know our needs, so the frustration of them not being met is not so painful. Another style is to be continually checking to make sure that your needs are being attended to. Sometimes we call this needy. The official term is preoccupied. Another style is to make absolutely sure that your needs are going to be met. Sometimes we call this controlling. Another response can be to flip unpredictably between a range of styles. We call this chaotic. Our attachment style has implications for our adult relationships, and secure attachment can be learned in therapy.
This experiment, which I watched through a two-way mirror, is designed to gauge how secure is the crucial relationship between mother and child.
Okay, this bunny is going to go here, and that bunny will be on top.
The value of the test has been established in studies that would watch a child, 1-year-old, and then follow it up and interview them about their relationships to their parents when they were 21 years old. So we're quite confident in the long-term significance of this relationship.
Peter, that's Peter.
After several minutes' play, the mother is signaled to leave the room.
Sweetie, I'll be back in 1 minute, okay? I'll get you back in 1 minute.
I'm devastating for you. Shame, I feel. But she'll survive. The key moment in the experiment is the child's reaction to her mother's return.
Hi.
The important clue is whether the baby's able to become calmed down by the contact with the mother, get back to play. Sometimes it takes a couple of minutes. But you see, when the mother was out, she was only interested in the mother, no interest in the toys. Now she has a contact with the mother, she's beginning to show a little interest in the environment, and shortly she'll be right back with the toys where we started.
So you would call this a secure one?
Yes, yes.
It's certainly much heavier.
Goes to the door following her. Now, we sent the mother right back in, but the point here is not to distress the baby. We're just trying to challenge it. The baby puts her hands to her face, in a sad expression, puts her face down. When she picks her up, she keeps her head down, her arms out, and then she sits in the chair holding the baby. The baby's still sullen. He's low-keyed.
So you would call this insecure
Yes,
attachment?
insecure. He's avoidant. He's not engaging her, and it's not the reunion's not effective. And it's important to remember here that the thing that upset him was her absence. Her return should be the solution to his problem. Now this is another pattern that we see in babies who are not good at using their mother as a secure base at home. This baby is also insecure. But you'll see, we got a look at his play before the separation. The mother's left, and when she returns, she picks him up. He can't calm down. He's still upset. She offers a toy to amuse him or to comfort him or to distract him, and he slaps it away. She offers another. He slaps it away. He's angry. We call these babies resistant or ambivalent because they both want her back and yet can't use the contact. We think that the difficulty is that in the past, when he sought comfort, she's been inconsistent as to whether she's available and responsive or not.
From an infant to an adult, our infancy sets the blueprint for the lives that we are going to live. That is why it is so important for children to be raised. That is why it is so important for the people who are raising their children to be available to them, to take care of their needs, to love them and by God not to exploit them. My hypothesis as to why we have such a different perception of a child working in a sweatshop and a child working in Hollywood, I think it has to do with the money that is being made. It is almost as if these children are in a far better position than the children who are just going to schools. The children are just living normal lives. These kids get to be millionaires as children. But I have a question. Should the child be the primary breadwinner? Should a toddler be a primary breadwinner? When all the other kids are in preschool and they're playing, they're getting all sorts of diseases because they're swapping fluids, but their immune systems are growing and they're getting better. And they're gaining these social skills, and they're having fun and they're developing. These children are taken and they are taught to act out a good and happy and loving childhood. But the background of that is being forced to memorize these things, being forced to act. Children cannot choose a career because children do not have free will. Free will requires you to have a certain capacity within your brain to reason. Infants cannot do that by virtue of not having developed that portion of their brains yet. Childhood development comes in stages. You can say what you want about how you're doing well for your kids, how much money they have and all the opportunities they have, but can we look at where these stars land up? I often think that child stardom should be added to the DSM, like that particular form of PTSD and that form of abuse and that form of exploitation, that form of child labor, that form of being taught from a very young age that you consistently have to prove your worth. You have to consistently put yourself in positions as an infant where you're going to be rejected. No! Children should not be rejected. That rejection imprints in their minds and it sets them up for dysfunctional relationships, which is why these Disney and Nickelodeon stars can't sustain long-term adult relationships. They get divorced, they fight, they get into domestic violence, they date people who are no good to them, and then they eat bums and get pregnant if they're black. Well, there was Jamie Lynn Spears, so, my bad. I'm sorry, there's this thing when you're black that you grow up with where you feel like you represent every black person, and any black person who's given a platform to the point of being the Little Mermaid, right? We expect them to act in a certain way because we attach ourselves to it, because so rarely do we get those opportunities. So like they finally give you an opportunity and then you go and you do this. I'm not scorning you or your actions. I'm trying to make you understand that it's not your fault that you can't handle relationships. It's not your fault that you settle for trash men. It's not your fault that you fight the way you do in relationships, that you struggle the way you do, that you don't know how to be loved, that you want love but you're scared of it, that you want people close but you also want people away, that you don't trust anybody and you always feel like you have to prove yourself. And you want to know why? Because since you're a toddler, your mother put you in the environment in which you have to perform. What brought this video into being is the fact that Skai Jackson, who still has a baby face and could be killing the Disney and Nickelodeon circuits, could be playing a young person the way Zendaya has been playing a teenager. She has been gifted with that kind of face that's gold in Hollywood, especially if you transition from Disney. But then what did you do? You smeared your own reputation, and now it can never be that clean Skai Jackson. But guess what? Many people do it. Mitchell Musso, Adam Hicks, Miley Cyrus, Demi Lovato, Selena Gomez, Justin Bieber. Everyone does some shit that's self-destructive and fucked up. And we look at y'all and like, God, I wish I had that life. Mm-mm. No, you don't. No, you absolutely do not. I cannot imagine the burden of having to make my parents millionaires. You can't substitute childhood for a career because you can never gain back childhood. Those are fundamental developmental years for our brains. And once certain things and behaviors are set, they're set, and it takes so much therapy in adulthood, and it takes discipline, and it takes dedication to your own healing, and it takes money. It takes money to heal. It takes money to go to therapy. Childhood trauma is expensive. You look at everybody, you look at the world, how everyone's undateable, how everybody's abusing each other emotionally, physically. People don't know how to handle their emotions. Men and women hate each other, all these things. This kind of psychological greenhouse gases. Centuries and centuries and centuries of untransformed carbon filling the air. And so this heat, it can't escape because the energy isn't being transformed. Because the emotions are supposed to be transformed. They're not supposed to be acted on in their raw form. You can't feel something intense and then act. That is something that was within childhood, but as you grow up, you're supposed to develop the capacity to engage your prefrontal lobe and move your decision-making capacity from your amygdala, which is your old and base fight or flight brain, which is why people get violent. Instead of acting from there, you will be able to take your emotion that you're feeling, arrest yourself, assess it, and then act in the best way and most productive, symbiotic way. And there was a time when all of that was just childhood. Children were just equipped with all of that. But now it's gone. What we're talking about is centuries in the making. I'm sorry I'm getting a little carried away with myself. I'm just very passionate about this. If you don't allow children to develop when they're young, they will be trapped in that fear. And they will constantly make decisions out of panic. And panicked decisions lack perspective. And you need perspective in order to determine how to plan your life broadly, beyond just the moment you're in. So instead of, say, ending up pregnant because you were just having sex with some no good guy, you'll be able to think and assess, why am I even in the same room as this person? I'll tell you why. Because you accept the love you are taught you deserve. And your parents taught you that you are only good to be used. That you are only good to be a money-making machine. That you have to always earn somebody's approval. So you go for people who are critical. Because when you're with people who just love you, you feel like you're not performing or you can't perform, or how can I keep this if I'm not performing and they're reacting, and if I do this they won't stop loving me. So how do I know? How do I handle the security? I need to be in a place where I constantly need to prove myself. So I'm going to be with somebody who's going to cheat on me because I'm going to keep trying to change them instead of changing myself, to pray that they will become the person that I want them to be and love me in the way I want to be loved, except I can't do it and they can't do it because nobody taught them or me how to love like that. So when I see these young women, and now these young Black women, because we've had them, Kiki to Haley to Skai, there is a recipe to what you are seeing. There's a recipe to how to become a single mother. There's a recipe of how to end up in an abusive relationship. There's a recipe to this intense fear of abandonment. These problems, we call them psychosocial problems. They're manufactured, They're in our lives. And there's such a thing as a psychosocial disability. And a psychosocial disability is something that's happening within your life that is impairing you to the point that you can't function at your best. A good example of this is depression. It's hard to be a functional adult when you don't even have the will to live. When opening your eyes is a curse. Because you prayed for God to take you peacefully in the night because you don't want to kill yourself because you think that if you kill yourself, you go to hell. So you just keep praying, God, just take me. But he doesn't take you. And then you have to wake up and you have to live life. We are complex beings. That's why childhood is so important. So I was watching Troycetv, and then it's an amazing video. I'll link it below. He talks about basically why these beautiful, successful women are settling for these bums. And in his video, I ended up seeing Skai's mother and her talking about it, how she sacrificed her career. And I was like, this bitch got me all the way fucked up.
Shit, don't waste my time, because I could be getting back to me, my life. That's another thing too. I gave up my life to pour everything into her career, and I did. And that's not to make her feel bad or, it's just a reality. It's just what I did. As a single parent, I had to. Listening to every client, every agent saying, don't take her out. Even when financially I was running out of my savings and struggling, like struggle. Like literally I had to get on food stamps and shit. Like that was, for me, kind of humiliating for me on how I was raised.
You want to know what happened? You want to know what Skai's mother did? Skai's mother deluded herself into believing that projecting all her failed ambitions onto the most adorable looking little girl, into believing that she was a good mother and she was doing something amazing. I was thinking about this and I was thinking, what's the difference with this? Like, are we going to say now, like, for example, kids shouldn't be in the Olympics? They shouldn't, we shouldn't get your Simone Biles. They shouldn't compete. What are we saying? And then I thought to myself, what the difference there is that when Simone Biles' parents can say, I don't know anything about her life. So this is just hypothetical if she was a different person. If her parents were to say that we sacrificed all her life so that she can go to these lessons, so that she can get these outfits, so that she can go to these competitions, that makes sense. Because yes, they can be prizes, but a lot of times, especially in the beginning stages, this is for opportunities. This is for scholarships. This is for ways to capitalize on the talents that showed themselves. What's the difference between children acting and then children participating in sports competitions and things like that? Should children not compete, or should children not be in a position where they're working? Then I realized that no, there's a difference between working really hard to help your child achieve the dream they found when they were growing, then forcing your child to work very hard because you decided when you saw them that this is a paycheck.
Cutest little baby I've ever seen. What's his name?
His name is DB.
DB. Oh, he could be a Gerber baby. He could be in commercials. I have an idea.
I'm 3 steps ahead of you. We need to make Dumpster Baby a star.
Exactly.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. We can't just put it back into a corrupt system. We have an opportunity to give it a real future here.
Yes, by making it a star.
And who have better lives than child stars?
Nobody.
Nobody. Rich, famous, they have it all.
Oh my God, they're the happiest people on earth.
DB, my main man, you got tossed into the right dumpster.
When I was in high school, I loved debating. My first debate was horrible. I didn't want to go back. My dad fetched me and I cried and cried and cried. But my dad was there to comfort me and to tell me that I can try it again. Now I know what it's like. And from that second debate onwards, I killed. 2 years after that first debate, I encountered one of the people I debated, and he had made fun of me. He was like, are you gonna And we debated, and I just annihilated him. And afterwards, he was like, you are a demon, which is a great compliment. It was really fun. But my dad was there to encourage me, and my dad was there to be like, hey, let's go again. And so my dad would always pick me up, and petrol isn't free. We weren't a rich family. My parents worked very hard for me to be in the best school in our town. And when it came time to do competitions that were out of town, I had a teacher who paid so that I could go to our provincials. I had people supporting the dream I found when I was developing. And when I was going, I was competing, yes, but it was not for money. It was for an opportunity to develop a talent. In school, we had this thing called Expo, which is basically just like the science project that you see in the American TV shows. And there would be prizes. But one of the prizes, I remember one year, was for a trip to Norway for the international expo, right? And one of the girls in my school won it. And I was so excited by this concept of having education just open up the world for you. Just truly open up the world for you. And that impacted me and how I approached my own projects and my own academia. I was nurtured. There's a difference between nurturing a child and feeding a child. You can feed a child McDonald's every single day. But when you make a balanced meal, you are nourishing your child. When you're just trying to shut up their stomach, you're feeding your child. So all that money that Skai made, that is fuck all in the context of she can't get those fundamental years back. She can't go back to the past. She can't regain her childhood. All she can is try to heal. Let's try to heal. But now, let's come to the money. The biggest justification. I did this for you to get all these opportunities so you can make all this money. Okay, let's get into it. How many of these child stars are poor because their parents blew the money? In her video, she's got this shoe closet behind her. And I'm thinking to myself, bitch, would you have that if it wasn't for your child? Because now she's acting angry because Skai is pregnant out of wedlock with a bum. Had you raised her, she wouldn't even be attracted to the bum. She would reject him because she would feel that this is beneath me. That bum is what that child thinks she deserves. And there's a reason, because she's never been worth anything unless somebody tells her she is. Because she went from audition to audition to audition to audition. There's massive scripts where a personality should have been, where character should have been. You don't get to try out things and know what you want. So they carry on and they're like, oh yeah, I'm thankful for my career acting. The truth is, you don't even know if acting is what you would have wanted to do. You don't know if acting is the best thing for you. You were sold into slavery, into a system that mines childhood and spits out entertainment for the masses to consume as they live their childhood. And that childhood entertainment powered by children. Skai Jackson has a reputation of being a rather problematic person. She's generally a little bit unlikable. By a little bit, I mean quite unlikable, actually. She seems to like a bit of empathy for people and is a little bit above everyone. And I say all of this because Skai Jackson ended up running a scheme on her fans to get money.
Let's start off by talking about this clearly illegal giveaway, this like contest that she was running for her fans. Whenever you throw a sweepstakes, you need to have it approved by, I believe, like the FTC or someone, because you can get in trouble if it's like a lottery scheme and it's not authentic. And that's kind of what people were calling her out for, because she was asking her fans to send in $5 in order to enter a raffle. She claims that no, she doesn't need the money. She's just having her fans send her a bunch of money so that she could buy a MacBook and then give it to one of those people, which the whole transaction just sounds weird. She said if anything's left over, if there's any leftover leftover money, she'll do a second giveaway soon. This person wrote, Skai Jackson is on TikTok Live telling children to send her $5 Cash App for a chance to win a MacBook. She claims that she doesn't need the money, so then why is she charging for entry? This is not weird to you guys? Another person wrote, she should do the raffle for free if she claims that she doesn't need the money. I don't think that any celebrity is entitled to give their fans really anything, but if they're going to, it's nice. It's just kind of weird when you see that you have to pay in order to possibly win this and you're not getting anything out of it. I mean, you're just sending her $5 on Cash App. It doesn't sound authentic or genuine, and hearing her speak about it doesn't make it any better.
It is not that serious for a damn $5. It is called a raffle. I don't know if you guys have been to school before, but I know I've been to school, and we used to have raffles all the time where a ticket but it's a physical ticket. You might put in $5, $2, whatever, and you get a prize. Like, people do raffles all the time. Yes, the money goes towards the prize, and then, like I said, if there's anything left over, I'm doing a second giveaway soon. So that's what it's going towards. I do not need money. Me personally, I do not need money. And I'm not saying this like I'm in a bragging way or anything like that or in a mean way. I'm just letting you guys know I do not personally need money. Like, I'm very fine in my life. I don't need money.
Why is somebody who has been working now for 18 years in the entertainment industry, why is she so desperate for money that she's scamming? Mommy, where did all that money go? Did she blow through it all? Did you? Come on, be honest. Be honest. The places you were living, the cars you were driving, the clothes you wear, you wouldn't have it without your slave. Says she gave up her career, bitch. What career? What career?
But unfortunately, she didn't really learn from her mother's mistakes. Now, as we all know, her mother, who we all know, really big part of her career, managed her career and everything, basically wanted to be an actress in the entertainment industry as well. So she actually gave up a lot of her dreams and a lot of her goals to support Skai Jackson at a very young age.
I said, duck, duck, go. Hey, could you pull up Kia Cole's IMBD? And IMBD said, who that girl? Who she is? Who that girl? Who she is? Oh, it's Tyler. Who that boy? Who he is? Sorry. Anyway, IMBD was like, do you want to tell her about us? Because we don't know shit. And DuckDuckGo was like, most well-known for managing her child's career. There. That's what the world knows you for, bitch. I sacrificed my career for my daughter to be known as a professional pimp. Childhood pimp. And now, the child you were sacrificing for, that beautiful future, where is it? Where's the money? Where's the money, Kia? Where is the money? Why is Skai Jackson scamming? There are two possibilities. One, you blew through it. And two, she blew through it with you. Because she's financially illiterate. Because you know what they don't teach you when they're feeding you scripts? Financial literacy. You know how companies like Disney and Nickelodeon continue to exist for so long? Financial literacy. Do you know how these old companies can keep the same CEOs within the same family? Financial literacy. We can look at old money, right? People who have money for like years, like way back when, like colonization money. But it's still to this day, current date, there are still to this day people who are living off of that money. And you know why? Because white people within that stratosphere of existence are not groomed to make money. Because they start with money. They're groomed to compound and maintain it. Any nigga can make money. Anybody can win the lottery. You won the lottery when you gave birth to her. Did you not? Didn't you live the good life? Because of that which should have been a child, but instead was just a money-making machine for you? Do not delude yourself into thinking that you gave her any opportunities. You robbed her of a childhood and childhood security, which has created a very, very, very minuscule sense of self. And it reflects, the insecurities reflect even in the way that she interacts with other people. The need to prove things to people. She redid her pregnancy pictures because she didn't want to be judged and she wanted people to perceive her in a certain way. So she called the paparazzi. When you are more preoccupied with how people perceive you than the actual decisions that you are making in your life, you are so far removed from your own safety. It is scary. She's with that boy, as is all the others, because of a lack of foundation. And then the money that is spent, not saved and compounded, spent all of a sudden now, you can't convince me that you did anything positive for her. When you say you gave up your life for her career, what career? No one except maybe Tyler Perry can touch her now. Because she's lost the reputation that Disney kids need. Do you think Zendaya would be where she is if she had a goddamn baby daddy? Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. People don't want their kids having role models who are having children out of wedlock. That's why Jamie Lynn Spears was just canned. And what happened then? She still had no sense of identity. She was pronounced useless. And she exploited her sister. But never really did her own thing. Because nobody really liked her. Can you imagine that? Say you gave up your career for your daughter, and when people open up DuckDuckGo or Brave to look you up, the first, second, or third result is just like, she's Skai Jackson's mother. You don't even have like a Wikipedia page. You have like the Wiki Celeb, whatever. But you don't have a career, so you didn't sacrifice that for hers. She would have a better career had she decided she wanted to do this as an adult, when it was appropriate to have a career. But she didn't get that. And to know that you didn't even save her money correctly or invest her money correctly or teach her how to be financially literate, how to be emotionally literate. You failed her. In conclusion, there are no child stars, only child slaves. It's never good. And it's active harm to children. And it should be internationally outlawed. The only the only use of AI and deepfake technology that I see that's positive is I feel like the entire entertainment industry should just do that. Use that to portray children in shows and then just completely outlaw. No more kids, no more kids, no more slaves, no more slaves. It sucks to sit there and watch Parent Trap and then think about how Lindsay Lohan turned out and everything she had to go through. Look at that show that the Olsen twins were on and then look at the suffering that they went to. Watch Lemonade Mouth and then not think about Adam Hicks. Watch Camp Rock and not think about Alison Stone or Demi Lovato or Selena Gomez or Justin Bieber and not think about these people who make up such a significant portion of some really precious memories. But behind my memories of watching it and having fun with my friends, they didn't get that. Alison Stone talked about being taken for a true crime interview when she was a kid, and it was terrifying. And when I think about that, they are the way they are for a reason. It's because of this disease that they're given. It's no different from chimney lung or that thing with the eyes. It's just that when it's psychological, society doesn't care. Ugh. And the ones who lose to substance abuse. I wasn't an Aaron Carter fan, but I can't. Look at Amanda Bynes! Oh my god. I used to love Amanda Bynes' videos. me movies and shows, and when she started just like breaking down, it's not right. They sacrifice their childhoods for our entertainment, and it's not right. Sorry, I didn't mean to get this emotional. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Remember, love your children. Set them up for success. If you are somebody who has experienced childhood neglect and childhood trauma, if any of the videos I included ring true to you, YouTube is an amazing resource. I was not expecting to cry. It's when you sit and think about it too long. Think about all the compilations you've watched. Adam Hicks one really hits because he was used so much, and then when they expire or age out of Disney, it's gone, and the parents, they took the money, and this boy was in lemonade mouth, was robbing stores. And I thought he was so lucky because he was in lemonade mouth. It's easy to judge when you didn't live that trauma. So yeah. Oh, also fuck Skai Jackson's mother. Fuck you. You didn't give up any career. You didn't have a fucking career. You're not talented, so you pushed your child and you turned her into a slave. And now you're a grandmother. And she isn't married, and she should not marry that guy. And she's just another single mother and statistic. Congratulations. Yeah, sure. You sacrificed for her career. No career. No money. Just trauma. This one's for Adam Hicks. Love you, dude. I love you. Oh no.
It's when I'm having